Let's get this stream going. Under the lights night, Monday night. I got my Bears here on the side. They're down 10-3. Just made a good stop. Problem is they're buried on the one or inside the one. Let me go get this live feed open. Welcome everybody to Under the Lights. We're live. I'm live from downtown Champaign, Illinois. My name's Nate. I'm a high school football coach here in Illinois. And I'm about to let in my co-host for Under the Lights Monday nights, Charles Watkins, out of Concordia University, Chicago. He's a defensive coordinator there.
My guy, what's going on?
What's up, Watkins?
How's everything?
Good, man, good. You got a different background every week.
Every week, when you move in, you change things up.
Well, good to see you, Watkins. And we got some guys joining us already. Quiroga in the house. Gardner in the house. Gardner said, Nate and Chuck, what up? Hey, does anybody ever call you Chuck?
So I never been called Chuck, Charlie, none of that. It's always been Charles.
Really?
Yeah.
None of the boys ever call you Chuck?
No, and I wonder if that's I don't know if that's like a suburban thing, but I don't even know anybody I ever called Chuck either.
No kidding? Yeah, maybe so. So I had a cousin, just passed away recently, rest in peace. And my cousin Chuck, Charles Currens II, and him and his dad is my Uncle Chuck and my cousin Chuck, Little Chuck, Big Chuck.
Little Chuck, Big Chuck.
Yeah.
I think I got a lot was like Charles in Charge.
Yeah, you can't avoid that. Well, welcome tonight, Charles. We got a guest tonight. You got our guest tonight. Who is he?
Absolutely. So it's I always.
Oh yeah, I got to go tweet that we're live.
Yeah, Coach Rogers. Coach Rogers. He's a high school in DC, in Minnesota. So he's a guy I met during quarantine. Just talking ball, talking to a lot of high school coaches, and they're doing a lot of good stuff. I think they just won this past week. They gave up 14, but the offense gave up the other 7. So we got to change that stat. How does that go against the defense when the offense gives it up?
It's points per game, isn't it? I mean, that's all anybody really pays attention to. Points per game. But you're right. It's all, and then you feel bad. Wait, what's his Twitter handle? Coach you just gave it to me. I got
it. At Coach_J Rogers.
J Rogers. Okay. That ain't him, but I'm gonna at Coach_J Rogers, right?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna tweet that, even though it's popping someone else's name up. But no, you're right. And then you feel bad because you're like, well, we gave up this many points, but, and then you sound like a stroke when you're like trying to make excuses for yourself, right?
Yeah,
or like when you're like, well, we gave up this many, but 14 of it was on our JV, right? Then you're that guy.
There's an asterisk next to it.
You're right. So we need like a stat. Let's get it going. A stat line that basically says points scored on our defense when the game mattered, meaning we hadn't subbed, right? So there needs to be a stat line, like, because baseball has a stat for everything.
Everything.
I mean, you name, and it's like what they'll start talking about some new stat, some 3-letter abbreviation. And I'm like, I've never heard of this. And I love baseball. I'm like, I've never heard of this one. What's this one? I'm like, oh, this is like tracking how many times you looked in the stands with 2 strikes. They got a stat for that. So if baseball can do all those stats, surely we can come up with that name. What do you guys think in the chat? Do we need that name? We need the name that says, the stat that says points scored on our defense and when the game was on the line, meaning like we had not subbed, right? New age analytics, Gardner says. Well, we got Coach Rogers in the house tonight. He's not here in the chat yet, but hopefully he's coming. Listen, here's what I want to talk about, Watkins. I'm done with COVID.
You done?
I'm done, dude. Listen. We got to stop canceling stuff. What? We just got to live. Listen, we know for a fact. Here's my argument. we know for a fact, and listen, if this show is really big, right, I would get so much hate email for this. But since our show is like me and you and the same 10 guys, right? These guys know me a little bit. Listen, I already know I'm full of crap. I already know that. Okay, Lucas Freeman in the house. What's up? I like this. Lucas Freeman comes in and says, "What's up, 3-0?" I like that. That's how you come into a chat, Coach Freeman. Love it, man. Congrats. Ben Campos in the house. All right, here's the deal. We know for a fact, Watkins, for a fact, that someone in America will die tomorrow driving a car. Right? Correct?
Correct.
We know it. We already know it. But we don't say no one's allowed to drive.
Okay.
What's the difference? We've evaluated and gone, the rewards of driving outweigh the risk. And you're going to say, well, what if you're the one person going to die? I would say, yeah, why don't we stop it for that? We guarantee it. We all know it's going to happen. All of us know. We all still driving. I'm driving to work tomorrow. Are you driving to work tomorrow?
I'm driving to work.
But you know for a fact, Watkins, someone is going to die tomorrow in a car accident. And we're all driving our butts to work.
My one question to that, because that's definitely a great theory, is what's the percentage and what's the numbers? How many people are dying from accidents in America?
From car accidents.
From car accidents.
I'll bet you it's about the same as the number of people that are dying from COVID, or it's got to be way higher. In fact, that's the thing. I'll bet you the odds are way higher. I'm done. And listen, because this show is tiny, and I just tell everybody what I think, I'm sick of everybody canceling everything. Our school just had to cancel their cross-country season. First of all, their cross-country season was getting cut short anyway. And I don't blame my school at all. I don't blame it at all. But something came up. They had to, right? Their hands are tied like everyone else's hands are tied. And I just think it's garbage.
That's such a great point. I wasn't like this in the beginning, but now I'm starting to get there. I think this year you just got to call it a wash. I think we shouldn't do anything. I know crazy as that sound, we shouldn't have no games. We shouldn't have no practice. This should just be a chance for the kids to focus on academics, wherever they're struggling with everything being online, some of it being in hybrid, right? You're going back and forth. You got that going in a way, but just focus on that and then come back next year from ground zero and build up from that way. Because you're right, like us, we got 5 games. If one kid gets COVID, they'll shut us down. They'll shut us down for 2 weeks, and now we only got 3 games. And then so now you miss, so you don't even got a chance to even play for anything at that point. So why even go through that headache?
They just gotta let everybody just play it is what it is. Let's go. We just gotta get back to our lives. Listen, Jeff Rogers is in the house. Look, I'm all sweating now under my sweatshirt. I got fired up that fast, Charles. Coach Rogers, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm really good, man. My name's Nate. I'm a high school football coach here in Illinois, and I host this show with Charles.
What's up, Charles?
Man, that couch looks super comfortable.
It does. That looks like a supreme napping chair, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the place to sit and watch ball.
Hey, man, you watching the Bears tonight?
Well, I gotta watch someone lose.
Yeah. Spoken like a true Minnesotan.
Right?
I'm a Wisconsin man from heart, though.
Oh, are you really? Okay, so you're not a Vikings fan. You're a Packer fan.
Oh, I'm a winner.
Hey, look out for them Bears this year, baby. Look out for them Bears.
Oh, their defense is looking good tonight.
It is, right? Hey, you just remind me. Mac just hit this pass rush, Watkins. I don't know if you were watching right before we came on. He just had this pass rush. It was like he looked like he was playing against someone at a different speed. I mean, it's like, what? You could see it coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
Coach Rogers, tell us how you know Charles.
Really from just talking football with some other coaches in Wisconsin, and we all got together one night. So kind of hooked up that way during all this lovely distance learning in the spring last year or this year, however you look at it.
Yeah. Now listen, you guys are playing ball now, right?
Yes, we're playing ball.
Thank goodness. We are not. The reason I was saying when you came on, I was all sweating. I just went on a big rant. I'm sick of COVID. I'm done with it. I'm sick of it. Okay, it is what it is. So our guys in the chat, in case you don't know Coach Rogers, we try to just hang out. We always land on ball, right? But we just want to hang out, get to know you a little bit. And then we'll try to bounce the conversation between us here in our little group and guys in the chat, because we got a bunch of guys watching live as well, and we all just kind of hang out. So guys in the chat, they got their own conversation going sometimes, and they might answer a question we asked you. They might shoot a question at you or Charles or me, who knows. But anyway, it's kind of a free-for-all. It's been working out pretty well, and everybody seems to enjoy themselves. I got Coach Chapman in the house. I don't know if I've seen your name before, Coach Chapman. Let us know where you're from if you haven't. If you have checked in, just remind me. I'll remember. Bruce Landstrom in the house. What's up? So I got a couple guys. Nobody has cursed me out yet, Charles, for my opinion on COVID. And a couple guys look like they might actually agree with me. Maybe. They might agree with me.
It's such a... Especially now, because you're not even playing football. You're not playing. You need something to do. So I get it, and you feel for those kids. That's who it hurts. It hurts those seniors.
Dude, that's the thing, and we're our football season's postponed. Lost sectional, like they had qualified, right? Our girls had won it. Our girls were one of the top teams in the state, and they just canceled it all because of a certain case, right? And I don't blame our school at all. Our school has handled this so well. I'm just super huge fan of our school district, the way they've handled it. Their hands are just tied, and I'm like, these kids, like, imagine being a senior, dude, and you're let's say you're a state championship caliber runner, and you're a senior, and you ran 200 miles this summer in preparation for this. You ran 200 miles. You know, like, dude, that's not like I was laying in bed dreaming about this. No, I suffered for 45 minutes a day while dreaming about this moment, and I just lost it. Why? Because for some obscure risk that, listen, again, Coach Rogers, I'm on a roll now, man. Again, if I was on ESPN, they'd fire me for sure, Coach Rogers, but I'm not on ESPN. We got like a fan base of 10, and I'm fired up. I'm tired of it, man. These kids, again, Watkins, 200 miles.
200 miles, a lot of miles.
These kids put that in.
Way too many miles to run for fun.
Right? I'm fired up.
I agree. I'm like for us, I mean, I'm thankful we're playing ball, but there's no reason we didn't start it at the beginning, because we're doing the exact same thing we're doing now. Is if someone has it, we're shut down. Like the first week we got shut down because they thought we had a bunch of cases.
Yeah,
I mean, and I get that. And part of that is, in my opinion, now I'm going to go a little conservative on you here. In my opinion, part of how we are handling some of this is because our country is such a sue-happy country, and the districts need to protect themselves.
Everyone
get that.
Yes, you have to protect yourself. No one's willing to say, okay, I'll put my neck on the line. And I get it. I don't know that I'm willing to put my neck. Like, I'll talk crap on my little web show, but I ain't going to risk my job for this, right?
No, exactly. I get you. And I'm not saying it's not real. I'm not saying that at all. I mean, I know it is, but it affects everyone different. So I don't know how you can just throw everything out the window.
Yep. That's what I said. I told Charles, this is what I opened up with. We know for a fact, and you know for a fact, Coach Rogers, somebody will die in a car accident tomorrow. All of us know it for a fact. It's going to happen. Somebody in our country will. Yet, it's not against the law. And I'm like, well, what is the difference? What's the difference? All right, Watkins, change the subject before I start crying.
Did you go to New Mexico this past week?
Next weekend. Next week is New Mexico. Yep. New Mexico. Guys in the chat, I'm heading to New Mexico next week. Driving out with my son. First of all, we're driving, camping on the way. We're trying to squeeze in a ton, man. I took a couple personal days. This is our one big trip of the year. Taking my son to visit the Air Force Academy.
Sweet.
Super hopeful.
Where's that at? Where's the Air Force Academy?
Colorado Springs.
Colorado. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. I've been out there once when I was coaching college football and stopped by.
Where were you coaching college football?
I've been all over now.
Tell us.
When I was out there, I coached at Cornell College in Iowa. And then I've coached at UW River Falls.
Wait, was Watkins at Cornell? Weren't you?
I think I was at Co. I think
you were
they
at
just
Co.
missed each other.
He was at Co.
You were at Co.
Right
Okay.
after me. Then I was at UW River Falls. And then I was also at Augsburg.
Oh, Augsburg. Okay, man. So, and now how'd you land in high school then?
I went back to high school. So last year I was at Augsburg, and before that I was where I'm at currently, Armstrong High School in Robbinsdale. And I took a 1-year hiatus to go coach college, and then there were some coaching changes, so I came back to high school. So
Robbinsdale, Minnesota. That's where you're at?
yeah, well, the school is technically in Plymouth, Minnesota.
And where is that? Where is that?
Northwest Metro of the Twin Cities.
Okay, so Twin City area. Give us Twin City area. Name 2 Twin City. Assume you can't name your own school. Who are 2 Twin City area powerhouse high school football teams? Because I don't know Adam from Eve over there. I don't know.
Yeah, Eden Prairie.
Eden Prairie. Okay.
Okay, and another one would be probably Wayzata.
Wayzata. Are they both?
Wayzata is where James Laurinaitis played.
I heard of Wayzata. I think, in fact, we had Wayzata coach he did a home clinic, Watkins, for our YouTube channel, I think. They just win it? Yeah, Coach Brown.
Yep, Lambert Brown.
Yes, Lambert Brown. Yep, they just won it. He did a home clinic for us. We have, so we got guys in the chat. Coach Gardner says they got a tight end with an Air Force offer. Nice. And got a couple. Bruce Landstrom says, my cousin got married at the Air Force Academy. William Papp in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you. I'm really excited to visit the Air Force Academy. And I'm hopeful. And my boy's like genuinely interested in like taking a look, you know? Yeah, I don't want to listen, military academy. To be able to get through it and come out of it, I feel like, talk about prestige and how proud as a dad could you be, right? But you can't push it. Like, here's what I did. I said, here, I am pushing you to just look at the website and just do me a favor, look at the website and look through the benefits of getting through it. Will you just look at, that's what I asked. And he did that for me. And he landed on, he said, you know what? I think I would genuinely like to see Air Force. I said, okay, and book the trip right now. I'll take you. So,
your mind.
Yeah. So who knows? But we're going to go see it. So we're going to drive through there and then down to New Mexico, La Cueva High School and Cleveland High School, 2 of the best high school programs in the Albuquerque area. So I chose New Mexico because they're not playing ball either, Coach Rogers. Gotcha. So I had to find somebody, like I can't come visit you and ask you to present when you're really just game planning, right?
Hey, why not? That's one more thing on the plate.
So in Minnesota, you guys, is there a playoffs format playing for states, or what's kind of like?
Oh yeah, what's the end of the season?
We're only gonna have sections, so we can play for our section.
You play for like a section title.
Yes.
So how many regular season games?
What is it? Yeah, 6, I think it was. We only get 5 because we missed one.
Man.
So it's 6 games, and then you could have like up to 3 or 4 more
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we got Coach Rogers. We got another Minnesota coach in the house here. Lucas Freeman. Freeman, tell us the name of your high school again. I forgot the name of it, but he's kind of like out near the South Dakota border, I believe.
Oh, so he's out way west.
Yep. He's out there at a small high school, but a Minnesota guy. He's been our Minnesota connection for a while. Michigan playoffs start this week, Coach Pat. Is your team in?
Nice.
Let us know if your team is in.
They start this weekend already?
Yeah. Now, I know Indiana started last weekend. I guess they should be in week 2. Usually we got a couple Indiana guys in the house. What's that?
Indiana started on time, though.
Yep. Indiana said, the heck with all this, we're playing ball.
They were ahead of the curve.
They did. They got the whole darn season in. And now they're in week 10, playoffs. Now
They played the whole playoffs in Indiana?
Yep. Full thing, man. They just went full throttle season. And they're in week 10.
Is anyone stats like on the cases there or no?
I'm sure it is. Look it up online. But you know what? And so, here's the thing about looking it up online. I don't even know. And I don't even know. Nobody trusts anything online anymore. It's like, which side made this report, because it's like everybody can find exactly what they want to find at this point. So you're like, you can't even judge anything anymore. Coach Gardner says they're in week 2 of the playoffs. Oh, that's right, Coach Gardner. You guys had a bye week last week. Iowa is in the 4th round.
Iowa? Wow.
You're in the 4th round of the playoffs, Coach Landstrom?
Because Iowa West just beat Iowa City, and they usually play like the last game of the year. Unless they met in the playoffs.
Iowa's in the 4th round this week of the playoffs. If you make it to the final, you get an extra 6 games. Huh. Tell us more, Landstrom. Tell us more. Coach Rogers,
Yes,
you're
sir.
the defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
And so what do you guys run?
We're a 3-3 stack.
Let's go, Watkins.
I knew you'd like it.
No, actually, so my head coach, my head coach is a really good guy. And so I had been on my own, Coach Rogers, for 11 years before last year.
Gotcha.
And I became an assistant.
You're a smart man.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I sleep a lot better. But I had been a 3-3 guy for all that time. Well,
Yep.
now I'm an assistant, and I coach our DBs a lot, most specifically safeties, but I spend a lot of time with most of the DBs. And we're a 4-2. And my head coach just kind of got to me. He's like, dude, are you a 4-2 guy or are you a 3-3 guy? Like, you know, and he was right. I'm like, all right, you're right, dude. I'm with you 100%. But I know online, in the online Nate Albaugh version, is known as a 3-3 guy, right? But that's not me. I want to make sure my head coach knows this, dude. I'm on board with us. I'm on board. But I do have a history. I got a past. And in my past,
gotcha.
there was a 3-3 version of Nate Albaugh. Tell us about your version of the stack.
Oh, what do you want?
Well, let's go D-line.
I know, because I'm
Fives?
kind of like you. I started out as a 4-3 guy.
Okay.
And then I kind of changed to a 3-4 guy. And then let me see, like my 3rd year here, we kind of were messing around with something of doing some 3-3 stuff, right? Just based on personnel. And I was like, it was going to be a package just for a game, right? And I was like, I had it all on the board, and I'm talking with the D-line coach. He's kind of the guy of reasoning for me, because I kind of will start getting going and I'll want to do a lot of stuff at times. And he's like, I'm like, you know what? We can't do this. They ain't going to be able to do this. It's going to be too much on their plate, and we're not going to be able to execute. So we go into practice, and we had this adjustment. And then one of the kids is like, well, why don't I just go over there and I could play this? And I looked at our D-line coach and just started laughing, because it was exactly what I had been talking about. And I said, well, I guess I was wrong. They can handle it. And so we kind of went from there with it. And it kind of just became like a personnel thing, you know, trying to get some speed on the field and 3rd down. And then just based on what we have for kids, it fits us. You
Now,
know?
Coach
Yeah.
Rogers, I want you to explain that, because Coach Gardner's in the house, and I always give him a hard time. So they were in the state title game a year ago, and then he changed defenses this year. And I said, what are you doing? He's like, we don't have the people for it. And I'm always giving him a hard time. I'm like, we don't have the people for it. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So tell us more. What does it mean? We didn't have the where? Give us specific. I want meat and potatoes.
And here's what I like about the 3-3. Because I think those 2 outside guys, or safety types, whatever you want to call them, or our guys now, they're safeties. Because if you told them they were extra linebackers, they'd probably frown at you. But that's what I'm saying about it. Those kids can be different cats. You know what I mean? And I think based on who you're playing, you can maybe even have different kids come in games and play more based on what you're seeing. Because I think they can be linebacker guys, or they can be more of a safety guy, or maybe even that tweener guy, depending on how physical they are and what you're facing. I mean, we're seeing a lot more spread up here now. I mean, but then we'll get in a game where we're going to see double tight T formation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think it depends on your kids, and I just like it because I can do almost everything I still want out of the 3-4. By just sliding a guy. They don't know it's really a 3-4 look, but it is to me.
Are you running with a 0 and 4 eyes or 4s?
Oh, we're running everything up front. We're usually a 0, either 4 eyes, 4s, or 5s. We're running all 3. And then if I want to get to a different front, I'm moving one of those ends, really. I was gonna like slide them to get in and over and under,
Yeah.
and I'm like, forget making that call. I'll just make a movement and I'll get that same front.
Now, are they playing this? How's their technique change versus if they're in a 4-eye versus a 5?
I'm having them always spill everything, keeping it simple that way for them. They're the spill guys, or we call them dent guys, so they know that they're contained on pass too.
And you're running
good all spill.
You're running cover 4 behind it, right?
No, I'm cover 3 guy.
Cover 3, that's right. We talked
Running a bunch of different variations of it, running some out of 3 high. Look,
Okay, so cover 3 versus 2x2. If you see 2x2, are you staying in your base look and playing cover 3?
there's not too many Minnesota guys on here. I can't tell you.
Let's say by default, right? Like
So
summer
you're saying
camp
if we're
type
getting like
install.
a doubles formation, you're
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
spread 2x2.
Yeah, like summer camp base install.
Yeah, we're gonna probably play a form of cover 3, but different versions of it. So we'll play what we call where we'll be in a 3 high look in the corners. So it'd be almost like a cover 2 type concept with the corners playing hard and playing the flat. So playing flat to in. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're working flat to the curl instead of curl to the flat. And then if we go the other way, the roll down guys are rolling down playing curl to flat. And then the corners are playing the deep third.
So then if the corners are squatting on that, and then who's
Yeah.
playing the deep third behind them? Your outside linebackers?
Yeah, our outside linebackers, safeties.
Right. Okay. Where will they line up at then to get to that spot?
Their base rule is apexing 2 in the end man line of scrimmage.
Okay.
And it'll be based also too on how tight number 2 is.
Sure.
And we're not with that corner. Like if the corner's playing that flat, he's not. My big thing with him is don't mess with number 1 as much. Work to 2.
Mm-hmm.
They're thinking out by 2, slant by 1. That's what we teach both of them. Because even if you're the roll down overhang guy, you're thinking out by 2, slant by 1. That's their kind of visual thought.
So what's the thought behind using those corners to stay low? Is it just to give different looks that they can't predict?
Different looks.
Okay.
We get a lot of picks off of it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like we do it day 1, and our head coach, he coaches on offense. He's always like, "You're messing with the young quarterbacks right away." I'm like, "You said day 1 install."
Now, let's say you're playing that corners sitting lower,
Yep.
your outside back or safeties dropping back.
Mm-hmm.
If you get 4 vertical, at least a lot of teams that out of the stack or 4-4, they're going to try to get hands on that number 2 to slow them down and give that safety some help against 4 vertical. Are you getting hands on 2 with that guy or anything to help out with 4 verticals?
Well, we'll take, let's do something. Depending on what, we'll take the number 2 as our inside linebackers, and they're going to work the 2 if they don't have a threat of 3.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So you're going to get some help from them.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'll let you know this week because we're going to see a lot of verticals this week.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
A lot of like 10 personnel stuff.
Yeah, a lot of verticals.
Okay.
But then we'll play some cover 2 out of.
Yeah. Oh man, I didn't let Coach Watkins say goodbye. Sorry, Watkins. So Watkins had to go pick up his girlfriend from the airport. So he had told me that too, and then he just had to cut out. So I feel bad that we cut him out. Well, let me check in with my guys in the chat real quick. Gardner says, I didn't have enough of either, linebackers or safeties. And he's the guy that I'm always giving a hard time about changing. Right. So Campos says, like Iowa State. Would you say what you're doing is like Iowa State?
In some fashion, but not really, because they're playing a lot more like quarters and 2 read type stuff.
Yeah, they're doing a lot. So you're playing a lot of cover 3. Now, any other variations of your cover 3 besides those 2?
Oh, we'll just play old-fashioned cover 3, with our overhangs down at if you say you had doubles, you know, a 2x2, you'd be 1x7 inside of 2.
Yeah.
The overhang kid or outside linebacker, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
So just play old school 3. Then he's gonna reroute that guy.
He will reroute that guy.
Yeah.
Coach Gardner says, will the hard corners stay in trail with no threat of 3?
Yes, they could. Yeah, they would carry.
Okay.
Yeah, they'd carry.
And then if they got a threat, then they would drop off that.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson in the house. Let's ask Coach Johnson. Coach Johnson out of Indiana. I was telling Coach Rogers that you guys went on season as is, and now you're in the second round of the playoffs. Are you guys still playing, Coach Johnson? Let us know. His team is really good. I think they were in the state title game a year ago, and they had a tough opening of their year because they opened up with like 3 juggernauts, and I don't think they've lost since. So they're on a roll again. I'm assuming they won last week, but you know how the playoffs are. You never know. Let us know, Johnson, how you did. Also, so Coach was asking, were there, what are the statistics? Because you guys just went on season as is. Are there any statistics available for COVID statistics for, how it went? Yep, his team, they played 9 regular season games and won their first round last Friday. So they got it all in, man. So second round. And who you got, Coach Johnson? Let us know who's up for second round. They are 7-3. Yep, like I said, I think they started off either 0-3 or 1-3, and then haven't lost since. So yeah, we're all jealous of Indiana, but I'm jealous of you, Coach, that you guys are at least playing ball now. So
right
now, you were at this school before, right? You took a year off and coach at college, and now you're back.
Yep.
Did you come back into the same role?
Yep.
How did that work? Because here's the thing. So, when I was in charge, you always have this balance of being good to the guys that are working for you already and being smart about your staff and man, I got this guy coming in and but how do I vacate this position in order to give it to him? Was there any stickiness going back to your current role, or was it just open again?
Well, the head coach just kind of slid over because we had an OC that year.
Okay.
And then in December, I came back because there was the coaching change and all that. You know how college works.
Oh, yeah.
You never know when you're going to stay and how long. And so when I came back, there was another guy kind of helping him as the DC. So when I came back, he's like, well, let me just talk to him and see how he feels. And that guy really didn't want that role as being a DC because he didn't want to do all that, you know, how much extra work there is as a DC. And so he's just like, yeah, I'm fine with it. And I'm good buddies with him, and he's a really big help for me right now too. So it just kind of went that way. And then ironically, our OC ended up getting a head job. So our head coach needed to go coach on anyways. So it kind of all worked out that way, but he was going to, either way, he kind of wanted to just float if he had two coordinators, but it worked out this way anyway. So
now, are you a teacher?
My first year.
This is your first year teaching?
Yeah, because before I was just an EA or an aide.
Okay.
And so this is my first year. I'm teaching SPED.
No kidding, man. Yeah, and so how's that going?
It's all right, but overwhelming being, doing all, because we're all distance learning. I don't know how.
Oh, you are? Okay. Yeah, we're in person.
Yeah, we're all distance learning.
Okay.
So it's just because are you full-time in person?
We're not. We go till around 12:30. They wanted to avoid the lunchroom. So then they go remote the second half of the day.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But they all come in the morning, all of them?
Yep.
Huh.
They do, man.
So they talked about going hybrid here. And, some of you came one days and some of you, but right now our school's too many students and not enough space to space them out.
Yep, that's a challenge. So in our school, we use every available room. I'm in a junior high right now.
Gotcha.
We use every available room, including the cafeteria. The kids don't change rooms, so all the desks are 6 feet apart. See, I just spit all over the place. But the desks are 6 feet apart. You have to wear masks. The kids don't change rooms. The teachers do. And they stay till noon, and then they're out of there, and they have a remote learning assignment, like activity that afternoon. So it's been, I thought our school, like, it was like this incredible jigsaw puzzle. They pulled it off, and it's been great. I mean, so good for all of us, for the kids to be there. That,
I know.
you know,
That's why, like, if we went to have football right now, I'd be going nuts, because
right.
seeing those guys just makes my day. You know, like, we're always talking to our kids on the, you know, distance learning. And I'm always like, you guys don't understand how it impacts this to be able to, when you turn your camera on and I'm not staring at a blank screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, even if it's some silly conversation, I don't care. It's communicating, build relationships. And that's been the hardest thing, like being a new teacher, having a caseload and not knowing any of them, never really even seeing most of them. Some I have just because I had been in the building before.
Right.
So a few of my kids knew who I was. Like, the one girl goes to her mom, well, he's that loud one on the sidelines.
It was mom like, oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, she did. Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. She told me a long story about, like, yeah, showed the cheerleading squad. Look how hard he is on the kids, and all the kids love him. You know? And so it was funny. She told this story because parents were like, oh, the dance or cheer coach or dance coach, whoever it was, is hard on them. And they're like, well, go to a game and watch that guy.
Yeah.
He's gonna be hard on his kids, but they all love him.
Hey, and that's the thing. If they know you love them, you
Right.
can push them like crazy.
Exactly.
Now, I'm not going to pretend like I've done it right all the time. You
Oh,
know,
no,
like,
that's
I've
hard.
certainly pushed too hard sometimes. And I've probably pushed at times when I didn't have that relationship yet. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have that good a relationship yet, but I was pushing as if I did. So it's not like I'm
Yeah,
perfect at it.
totally. Or you understand what kid you can push a little bit farther than the other kid.
Yeah.
That's always the tough thing.
Yeah. And
You
then
know, I think that's why it's important to build the relationship first, because then you understand where that kid is you can push. Like, they were telling me, one of my buddies watched the game. He's like, you seem awful calm this year on the sidelines. I'm like, I have a bunch of young guys playing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't just go crazy on them right now. I gotta let them understand what they're doing, especially because I coach the LBs too, and two of my guys are sophomores. Like, I can't be going nuts on those two.
yeah. Right. Right.
You know,
And it's like
I can.
the older they get and the more responsibility they get, then all of a sudden it gets, you know, you can push them pretty darn hard.
Right. And they want to be pushed, because most of them, if they're worth a lick, want to play and be, you know, want to be pushed.
Yeah. Because, I mean, here's the thing. Winning is really hard to do. Really hard to do.
Yeah.
Like, it would be very hard. Not that it's impossible, because I'm sure there are guys out there that can do it. But it is so difficult to play this game with the intensity, with the urgency necessary, with the laser focus necessary to play it at a high level. It is so difficult to do. And then you combine the difficulty of doing it with the difficulty of organizing and keeping X amount, I mean, you fill in the blank, number of teenage boys on task, right? So when you put all of it together, you know, dude, it's a stressful job. It's hard. And
yeah. I will say, though, like, for us, our numbers have been the best numbers we've had in a while. I don't know if it's because of COVID and they just want to get out of the house. But also our attendance has been a lot better. Like, we had a snowstorm last week, and the head coach is like, should we cancel? I'm like, I'm like, you're asking the wrong guy. I'm going to coach in anything. I'm like, don't ask me. He's like, well, it's too late. Let's just leave it on and see what happens. We'll make the best of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because we got like 5 inches.
Yeah.
Right? And so, sure enough, we were taking bets, you know, how many kids are going to show up. We had, of our varsity, which is like 80 some, we were pushing 70.
Yeah.
And
That's incredible.
You know, some had a legit reason. I can't get there. My
Yeah.
mom, you know.
Yeah, I literally can't get out my driveway, right? Because when you
it's
get a lot of snow, that happens. Well, you make sure you tell your head coach that I said if the whole nation finds out that the Minnesota coaches are canceling practice for snow, then none of us have a chance to ever practice in snow. You guys cannot cancel in snow, or the rest of us are doomed.
Some of the other schools, they're fortunate they have like a dome or a bubble.
Are there a few of those up there?
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Some indoor facilities.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, Coach Gardner out of Utah says it was 22 at practice today. Oh, dude, today. And here's the thing, you guys, I'm sure it was not that cold today, but I had to be outside for a little while today. We're talking 10 minutes, and it was 30 to 35 and rainy. I mean, it was just nasty. And I'm like, honestly, I had this thought. I'm like, I'm actually glad there's no practice this afternoon. I've sat through a lot of.
I hate rain practice. Those are the worst.
I can remember still so many practices like this. I got my whistle in my mouth and my practice plan here, and there's water just coming off the bill, right? And my practice plan is waterlogged, and I'm just like shaking and miserable. But you have to act like somehow that it's okay, because if you show that it's miserable, then the kid, you've lost the kids for sure.
Yeah. You're running around. What are you guys whining about? Nothing wrong with it in practice.
And I try to call the next play, and my hand's visibly shaking. They're like, Coach, I think it's cold. You can say it. You can admit that it's cold. Coach, tell us, so how much of your defense changed from being a college coach to coming to high school? Wait, how big's your high school?
2,000, a little over 2.
Okay, so it's a pretty big school.
Yeah, it's right on the cusp of the top. When I first got there, we were 6A, so we were the biggest.
Okay,
So now we're like 5A, I think.
What changed? Like, what have you noticed? Like, what do you take out for the high schoolers, or what do you put in for the collegiate? How do you approach it differently? And that could be from practice to scheme. I mean, give us anything that's different for you as your approach.
I don't know if I've changed that much, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And I think it depends on the kids. Like the first year I came in, we had Thomas Barber that played for the Gophers.
Okay.
Was on our team, and then there's like 3 or 4 other kids that were D2. There were some other kids that could have easily went and played, and they chose like the military and stuff. And so that first year I came in, we were pretty loaded. I was like, wow, And so I don't know. I didn't change much, because when I first came in, I was a bring 5 or more guy all the time.
Okay.
So we were bringing 5 or more like 80, 90% of the time. Now I've kind of changed with what we're doing. Now we don't blitz as much.
Okay.
But I think a lot of it, the one thing that's different is like you have so much more meeting time in college.
Okay.
So that makes it harder. Like, cause like you go to meetings before practice in college and you say, hey, these are the drills I'm doing. Here's what we're doing, right? Where in high school, you don't have that.
Right.
And so that's a big thing, I think, is that meeting time, and maybe not, like I dialed down some coverages and some fronts. And I think a lot of it too is also you can't do as much game planning, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you can't have as many as adjustments. I think you got to be simple in your adjustments. That's my feeling. And it can depend on the kids you have, I think.
Yeah.
Like, like if you get trips, I have 8 or 9 ideas to do, but I don't feel like if I put too many of those in, we're not going to be good at any, where if you have more time, you can do that. Like, so this year I've been even simpler because we lost like all summer, we lost all of our 7-on-7. So I was like, well, that's a lot of time when I start installing all that coverage stuff. So we've been even a little bit more simpler coverage wise, just because we didn't get as much practice with it.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think once again, it comes down to your kids and what they can handle.
It makes sense. Yeah.
And it can happen at college. I've been at college where kids couldn't handle, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
mean, so, it all depends on those colleges. All of those colleges are different. Now, I think I've been fortunate when it comes to coaching at all D3s. I've been fortunate coaching probably three of the top conferences in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Between the Iowa League, the Minnesota League, and Wisconsin League. I'm going to be biased to the WIAC, but Wisconsin guy.
Sure. And I played in the CCIW, and
yeah, that's no slouch either.
Yeah, they want to say they're the best,
right?
But yeah, I mean, and there is incredible D3 football, man, through the whole. I mean, right through that 4 or 5 state area. It's incredible.
Right, and that that's a conversation I have with the kids all the time about. There's no shame in going to play D3 football. Because kids nowadays are all about the scholarship.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can go to some bad D2 schools that if they went into the WIAC or they went into the MIAC or wherever, they're going to lose.
Yes.
They couldn't handle playing St. John's and St. Thomas week in and week out.
Yeah.
I mean, who else has 200 and some kids on their roster?
Right. When I walked in, and I was a good high school athlete and I went to Wheaton College.
Yeah,
and
great program.
Yeah, I walked in, and in that first 2 days, I was like, first of all, everyone was massive, and everybody, at least those, when they rolled out team 1, right, the 1s and the 2s, I'm looking at these guys going like, they're incredible athletes, incredible. And in fact, Coach Roger, I'm sitting here watching my Illini last week, and I'm looking at their receiving core going, I would have rather had the 3-4 receivers we played with in college at Wheaton. Like, these guys were automatic, right? Good speed, but automatic catching. So anyway, absolutely, so many special dudes.
Agree. I mean, I saw in that same game, the punter for Wisconsin was a D3 kid.
Was he?
Dubuque. Yeah.
No kidding.
He transferred.
No, which conference is Dubuque in? Because I went and visited Dubuque and they have an incredible indoor facility. I went and visited them for Chief Pigskin.
What is that? Now it's the American Rivers Conference, because it used to be that Iowa League.
Okay.
Now it's the American Rivers, because I think they added Nebraska Wesleyan.
Yeah, and that's what Coach Gardner just said. Our safety turned down a D1 offer for D3. I had a real special, for us, he did everything because he was so good. But he had Navy offered him, and he turned that down, and he went to North Central. And of course, he was a starting corner for that national championship team a year ago, and he's loving it. Some of my best players have gone D3, and I'm just so thankful because I went through a long stretch where my best players were the D1 or bust, and they just decided to not play anywhere since they couldn't play D1. I was crushed. I thought you guys are so special. You could go somewhere, and then I finally, in the last 4 years, went through a stretch where my best kids were going D3, and they've all had a lot of success, right? And they're, again, super special kids, like kids that were legit and decided to go D3 instead of like pushing or scrapping for a seat at the table D1. And each down to the last man, they've had incredible success and have not regretted it. They're having a blast with it.
I agree.
Man, last topic for the night, Coach, and I want to bring this up with our guys in the chat. Everybody needs to help me out. Last thoughts from everybody. Blitzing. Now listen, and this is a hard question because it's hard to give. I'm really looking for something that I can use to help my understanding. I have not blitzed, Coach, more than 5 guys. Man, I'm honestly maybe close to a decade. I've just been, I'm so conservative. I send so little. I've had such little success bringing guys. When I start bringing guys, I feel like I'm guessing, and I feel, I hate that feeling. So help me understand you. And again, you're coming from at least somewhat of a recently where you were always bringing 5 or more. Mm-hmm. Help me understand thinking through this, because I already know when my day comes to call another defense, I have to have the, whether you call it guts or creativity, to bring some heat sometimes. Like I either don't have one or the other or both right now.
Right.
So help me understand, thinking through bringing guys like, how do I bring 5 or 6 if I know? So I guess I'll ask a more specific question. How do I bring 5 or 6 when I know this team just wants to run power and counter?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it's you got to fill the scheme in on what you're gonna bring then with that 5-5. I don't know. If
Yeah,
I
give me
bring
some
6,
ideas.
Yeah. So, you know, to me, you take one of my favorite to do against like a power is, okay, the old NCAA blitz. You know what I'm talking there? DN into the A gap, you know, nose away.
Yep.
Say if you're a 3-4, the outside linebacker off the edge is the contained guy, and Mike off the butt of the DN, right?
Okay.
So to me, a good change up to that one is what we call it, freak. I don't know why it's called that, but that's what it's called since was coaching college. So we call it swap.
Okay.
Okay. So for us, I always teach them what type of blitzer they are. If you're an inside blitzer, you understand that you can spill because you have someone outside of you that you can spill it to. You're a contained blitzer. So if you're off the edge, you're probably a contained blitzer because it's gonna come back to you. You got to keep it inside, right? You got to force it inside. All right. So when we swap it, what we do is we tell that outside linebacker now, his rule is he's going to come underneath the first thing to him. He's going to become the inside blitzer now. Now that inside linebacker is going to become the outside guy or the contained guy. So when you get a power, you get that guard or fullback at you. He's going to hit that now. To me, if you get it right, you're never going to be wrong in that blitz as long as they read it right. Because his rule now when he gets swapped is first thing at me, I go flat down the line until the first thing at me, then I come underneath it. So even if you get a pass out of it, okay, first thing at me is going to be probably a tailback if they slide away or an O tackle, right?
Right.
And so then you're always going to get that 2-on-1 in the pass game. In the run game, you're going to get that natural spill. I also like it against a zone read team.
Now you said under the first thing at him, right?
Yep.
So would he go under a tackle?
If the tackle out blocked on him?
Yeah.
Yep.
He would go under that. Okay, yeah. Because then schematically, then you still have a guy coming around.
Yep.
In that C gap.
Yep.
And so here is my worry when I look at that. My first worry is, okay, what if they go counter away? Am I getting enough out of that getting to the A gap and the nose slanting, right? So let's say I'm bringing Mike and Will here.
Yeah.
But they're going to run counter over here. Am I getting enough, like, because with my nose coming here, my end coming here, and now I got a guy chasing, technically coming down. He should be chasing pullers, right? Am I getting enough out of that to account for what I'm losing by sending 2 backers that way?
I believe so. I mean, and I guess you got to look at, like everything else, what is their bread and butter? And if they have to resort to that, I'm feeling good about life. You know what I mean? If power is their bread and butter, am I making them? I say that all to say that I've switched and became more conservative again.
Right.
But I think you got to do that. And I think sometimes it depends on your kids. Some of your kids, you have to move more. Like last year, the kids that they had, and I knew them all because I had coached them before, they could sit in their base front, and those kids were good enough up front, like to do everything you ever asked. Kids we have now, they've been had really good, and I'm surprised by what they've done, and to be honest, but they need to move a little bit more just because of how they are, is, you know, size and strength and all that different thing, you know? So I think, you know, and the big thing to me is if you're getting counter, we always taught, you're forcing it back to where the pressure's coming. So because you got guys coming down the line to hunt it down.
Right.
So
now, what's the D end doing opposite of on this side? So if the blitz is coming here, what's this D end over here doing?
Well, like if he's in a C gap, so if he's a 5 technique, we're going to tell him he's a tough contained guy if there's a tight end there. So he's got to contain through that C gap. But we even got to the place, like say we were in a 4-eye front, that we would allow him to contain through the B gap.
Okay.
because we felt like if you got outside zone there, if he tried to fight across, he wasn't going to do anything anyways. He had more of an impact fitting it, staying inside.
Okay.
And then we would, like, if we were in our stack and we ran it, then our backside backer was going to just find green to fit where needed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if that makes sense. If we were in a 3-4, that backer would fold back inside knowing the DN's going to get contained.
Okay.
But we'd also teach him to be the adjuster. Hey, if he can't get it, you got to go reset the edge.
Now, how do you play against a tight end? It's just like alignment wise. What changes for you just by kind of, again, summer camp rules? Hey, we get a tight end. Is either that outside linebacker / safety or that stack, or either of them coming closer to the line of scrimmage with the presence of a tight end?
We get a tight end right now. We're having our overhang. If there's only one skilled out there, we're going to have them screw down and be probably 1 by 1.
He'll go 1 by 1. Okay.
Yeah, like this week we're seeing a team that's going to, what we call Trey.
Yeah.
So, 2 receivers, 1 tight end, but he's what I call a yo tight end. So he's off the ball. We'll even have our backside overhangs come a little tighter, 3 by 3, knowing that he's coming back some.
Mm-hmm.
So that we can get that quick re-force there.
Now, if you do have Trey outside of you, so if it's Trey, now that outside linebacker has 2 guys outside of him, will he still come down to 1 by 1?
No, he's going to come off, and then we're going to probably make sure our DN's in a 5. And then we'll probably widen our stack a little bit to probably head up on that tight end to reset that edge.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I've done where you break it and bring that stack down. You know what I mean? The stack maker. But right now with our young guys, I don't know if I can teach all that right now.
Yeah. No,
especially with the
certainly
shorter
understand.
practice time this year. That's the thing that hurt too, is not having a true fall camp, because they said, no, we're not going. And then, okay, here you go. You got 8 days.
Yeah.
And you were used to 2-a-days or a 3-hour practice or however you did it.
I mean, already getting ready for game 1 is already nearly impossible. Like, when you think of all that has to be prepared to get ready for game 1, from kickoff team to hands team to everything. I mean, I can imagine if you cut even a day off that, it'd be jarring.
And you're cutting off 2 practices. You're only having 1 practice, a couple hours, because you're already in school, so you can't go forever.
That would have been tough.
But really I'd rather do that than no football.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. Well,
Coach, and I think that's made me more thankful for the game.
Yeah.
Knowing, hey, we're benefit, I want to win, but right now I'm like in that spot of, I'm just happy our guys get to play football. Because I'll be honest, I'm not trusting that we would have been able to play in March.
Yeah, that's where we are right now.
Some of it was like false hope.
Yep.
I mean, look at supposedly our numbers are all going up as it is.
Yep. I know. That's why we're
goes
really
back to, I still think you should have just started off at the beginning. You're not doing anything different than you're doing now. Oh, your team has COVID. Okay, you can't play.
Right.
I mean, how did that change?
Right. You're exactly right.
Yeah, but
I'm done. COVID is whack. I'm done with it. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. Any closing thoughts before we let you go?
Oh, I appreciate it, man. I'm going to make sure I sign in more often. I know I don't always sign in, but I appreciate it.
Come
Coach
join
Watkins
us.
Is the man. I love Coach Watkins.
Yeah, he's a great dude, man. And he just spoke for us. He's got 3 videos coming out on the online clinic. His first one already came out. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. If you could leave us a thumbs up, we'd really appreciate it. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. We were going 12 weeks. Next, we go like Monday through Thursday night. Next week's our last one. Then we'll take a little break. And then we'll be back on for we'll call it season 2. But so keep track of us on Twitter. We're always on and just hanging out. Low key, nothing to teach anybody, just hanging out and talking ball.
Yeah, it's good. I appreciate it, Coach. This is awesome.
Yes, good luck to you.
Just talk.
It is, absolutely. And it's just a big time change of pace, man. Good luck to you guys this Friday. Who you got?
We got Hopkins. Pretty athletic.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. You're going to be bookmarked in my on my web browser here on Max Prep. So I'm keeping track of you guys.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, you betcha. You take care, guys. Good night. We'll hope to see you tomorrow night.